Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I thought in this video we'd take a little bit of a look at what the plan is for actually building the car. I know a few of my friends have asked what the various steps are, so I'll take you through some of that. And then after that we'll get into a little bit more of the detail on the bodywork that I've done so far. I'm Roy Farr, and this is my build of a Gardner Douglas 427 Mark IV. So I'm going to take you through the plan. So this is a fairly typical Gardner Douglas Mark IV 427 Cobra build. There are about 12 stages. I say about because there are things that may go wrong. There are things that might have to be done differently. But for me, I'm going to try and follow these 12, which seem to be the fairly sort of standard set of steps that any builder will go through. So really, I mean, I've added one here, step 0, procrastination and prep. This was really in my decision to come up to the point of actually going for this Cobra build. I was spending a lot of time trying to decide, what would I buy this model, would I buy that model, what sort of engine, could I actually afford it? You know, those are the key considerations that went through my mind. Lots of different things that I was kicking around as ideas, but eventually settled on this particular car. Then you get into where we are now, stage 1, the body. So you've seen probably on the couple of videos I've shown so far what that body looks like, that wonderfully curvaceous 1960s styled Cobra body shell made out of glass fibre or glass fibre reinforced plastic as well, actually. Really lovely body shell, but loads of work involved in preparing that. That's stage 1. Stage 2, you actually get into fitting the pedal box and a braking system, so all of those kind of the guts of the pedal box there, which is actually adjustable as well. So the seat will move, the pedal box will move, we'll get all of that in there and test fitted. Then we go on to stage 3, where we've got the steering column, the handbrake, the wiper motor, and some of the wiring loom. Actually, that all goes in, or at least we start to prepare the car for it. Now, somewhere in here, and this could be done before stage 1, you know, when you've just finished with the body, in and around stages 1 and 2, you can choose to have the body painted. So I'm going to go for that at that point. I'm going to go stages 1, 2, 3. Probably remove some of those bits and pieces that I've test fitted, send the body away, have it painted, and then bring it back. Don't ask me what colour I'm going to go for yet. I still haven't made my mind up, and that's apparently a fairly common thing amongst Cobra builders. Then when the body comes back, we're into stage 4, and that's the dashboard. So we choose the dashboard layout, and again, I'll probably keep it fairly standard with a sort of inverted pyramid of dials, and you'll see some of that on the Gardner Douglas website, gdcars.com, if you want to take a look. Then we get into what's next. Stage 5 is the windscreen. That goes in. Slightly squeaky bum moment when you do that. Definitely need 2 people to drop that rather expensive windscreen into the car. And then the mirrors, they go on there as well. Then we get to stage 6, which I've actually kind of semi-started. So that's the chassis, the engine, and the gearbox, and the engine management. Now, chassis, and there's lots of different choices for engine to fit that chassis, but I'm probably going to keep it fairly traditional from a Gardner Douglas point of view. I'm not going to be a purist. I'm not going to go for a Ford engine in a Cobra, because I'm not trying to create you know, a dead original copy of the original vehicle. A lot of people go for the Chevy LS3, so I will probably do the same. That will be a 6.2 V8 with somewhere between 430 and 500 horsepower, depending on the state of tune that I end up with. So that'll be a nice sound when that kicks off. Once that's in, stage 7 is then the radiator, the exhaust, and the oil cooler. So all of those bits and pieces go in around the engine. Then we go for the roll hoops, yes, the fuel tank and the roll hoops in stage 8. Stage 9, the interior, and again, don't ask me about colours because I haven't decided yet, but leather, Alcantara, choose whatever you like. It's a completely bespoke car, obviously, so I'll be choosing that a little bit later on. Stage 10, we're almost there, so we're into finishing parts, covers, little escutcheons and stainless steel and chrome bits and pieces that will finish off the car nicely, and the emblems as well, so the badges on the front and the back and the sides of the car, just to really finish it off. Stage 11, again, I've already started a bit of. That's effectively weather protection is one part of it. And you notice that I've got the hard top already, so there'll be a bit of preparation around that. But you can, of course, opt to have a soft top as well. Again, I haven't decided if I'll do that. I may stick with just the hard top and the body on its own, effectively as a roadster, and just have those either or. But we'll see. But then we add the steering wheel, and then effectively we're done. Now that really simplifies the whole process from stages 1 through 11 there. But when you get to that point and everything's done, then it's time for the IVA test. That's basically the independent test of a vehicle that's been built by a self-builder. A really comprehensive set of tests and a bunch of things that are quite surprising. Actually, that'll be a real learning process for me as well. So that will be the 12 stages, and once I get to the end of all of that, fingers crossed, you know, if that passes and we're all good, then we'll be in a position where I can actually drive a car and really start to enjoy it. Okay, let's get into the rest of the build for today. Okay, let's get cracking. So first thing I'm going to do is start cutting the holes. Start with the air intake one here, and then we've got one here where the oil cooler is. Obviously there's going to be fiberglass flying around all over the place, so we'll get the dust mask on, and I've got some glasses, goggles here as well, gloves. I'm going to be using a Dremel 8260 with a small cutting wheel on the front here, and then after that just cleaning up with a small sanding wheel and a little bit of dry sandpaper. So let's get this sorted first. Take it nice and slow and try not to catch the edge of the body. So as you can see, that's really easy for the Dremel to catch and rip around the edges, so you have to be super careful and hold on to it. Let's just tidy the edges now. Let's swap to one of these guys. There we go, and a little bit of 120 grit sandpaper just on the back. A little bit more at the back here. There we go. For now I think that's good. I'll carry on and I'll cut this guy. Now, it does catch a little bit on the edges, and you do have to be really careful with the Dremel starting to rip into the rest of the fiberglass, but fortunately you can just sand this back a little bit around the edges. It's not the end of the world. Right then, let's take a look at the flash lines. Flash lines are a side effect of the mould process, where in essence the gel coat that's painted on as part of the mould is actually squeezed through some of the joins, and you end up with these little ridges all over the car. Obviously there's a few little scratches here and there, and those sorts of things are the things that need to be tidied up first as part of the first parts of the body build. So let's take a look at those first. Right, so here we are on the offside front quarter there. So you've got some wax there which will easily peel off. That's okay, and you can see here the fingernail there. You can see the flash lines all along the side of the body there. Some little gouges there in the body. Nothing that can't be taken out easily enough. There we go. Some more there on the rear wheel arch and all around the side of the door jamb. Quite a bit of scratching there on the wheel arch over the top. Again, you can hear that coming around here. There's the rear quarter behind the wheel arch. A little bit more wax there, but fine. You can hear all the flash lines along there. This is pretty much what it's like all the way around the car and across the rear lights and across the back of the boot there. What I want to do is just show you what I've done first and foremost. I've actually had a go at removing the first set of flash lines on the front corner here. So you can actually see I've used some 400 grit wet and dry paper going horizontally with a couple of lines of masking tape down here. And I've used some 600 going the opposite direction. You can probably just about see some of the marks underneath there, but it's come out pretty well actually. You can't really see the flash line anymore. There's perhaps a tiny little faint element down here. That's easy to see on there. You can just about see the line through there, but actually it feels pretty smooth. And actually I think if we were to have it painted, then you'd probably lose all of that under the primer, and the professional painters can sort all of that out. So I'm going to stop there and just start masking up another area, and then I'll show you what that's like to sand back. There we go. I've set up the camera just over the top of the flash line there. It seems to be the easiest way to get that to show up on camera. It's quite difficult to show here in the light, but what I'm going to do, as per the GD instructions, is try and mask off this piece here, so I'm not rubbing too much of the surrounding gel coat down with the wet and dry. So just trying to mask just a little bit off to the side. Take that down just a touch. There we go. And a little piece on the top. Again, just off the edge of it, just so I can actually get the wet and dry actually onto the gel coat, but not so far off that I'm sanding too much of it. There we go, that'll do there. So I'm going to start with a 400. Use this piece a bit on the other side. It's just 400 wet and dry. I'm just going to start gently rubbing in the direction of the flash line, just to try and bring it down a touch and get it as flat as possible. Just using my fingernail on the edge of it. It's quite a lump at the end here. I might have to do something different with that, but just going over this, just piece by piece. I should be able to take this down like I did with the other side. And as I say, this masking tape is actually frog tape. Again, pretty much any masking tape will do, so long as it can survive a bit of water. And not some of the other cheaper ones do tend to degrade very, very quickly. This one seems to be holding up okay. Just give it a bit more water. I'm just going to keep going over this until I get it pretty much as flat as I can. I will be eating into the surrounding area a little bit. I have to be careful about that. If you rub too hard, you can end up flattening the rest of that as well. The 400 grit probably isn't going to take a huge amount off, but then this is my first time using wet and dry with gel coat, so I don't want to take too many liberties here and end up with a flat stripe on the side of the car that I've then got to try and sand flush again. So you can see already the ridge is still there, but the top part's come down quite nicely. Still a lot over that side. I will probably turn this into a speeded up time lapse in a minute. I'm sure you don't want to be sitting there watching me do this all the time for as long as it takes. So let me shut up there and then we'll speed it up. Okay, that's looking pretty good. I will now probably take the masking tape off. We can take a look and see what that looks like. Bit of a clean up. And then we'll get at it with some 600 and just take it in the opposite direction. There you go. Again, I'm not sure just how well you can see that. Yeah, there's a thin stripe there. You can see how the 400 has then just keyed that in slightly. I can still feel a light raise there with my finger. That's pretty flat, and that's pretty flat all the way, just as a little ridge there at the end. So this is another technique I've been experimenting with. This is a cheap razor blade holder that I found on Amazon, and a razor blade. And what I've done is I've taken 2 pieces of duct tape and just wrap them around the edges of the razor. I'm just going to put a third one on, and the idea is I can create just a little bit of a buffer on the bottom of the razor blade there, just enough to basically stand it off of the bodywork slightly, and then leave a sharp edge in the middle so that I can try and get around these chunky bits of gel coat that are sitting on the body here. Is this going to slide back in here now or not? Probably going to have to cut that down again, but let's see. Yeah, there we go. So we've just got 2 little bits of duct tape on each edge, and that's created just a little bit of a lift for the razor blade in the middle. So I'm hoping now, I've tried this on the other side, you can just place this on the body and just use that just to try and scrape it a bit. I will catch the body, but not so much so it should be a problem. I mean, obviously completely up to you if you want to do this, but just trying to see if there are extra ways that you might be able to accelerate a little bit of this. Take it very, very carefully. Obviously the danger with this is you could end up scratching the rest of the body and have to do more sanding, more gel coat work. But for some of these chunky bits, as long as you don't press too hard, you can probably save a bit of time doing it this way. It's coming off to a degree. Obviously this is only going to work where you've got a curve that you can get to. There you go. That's probably all I'm going to bother trying to take off with that. And I'll go back to using the wet and dry. Let's see if we can take this last piece off there now. Probably drop a grade and take this off even quicker with a 120. But you really would mess the surrounding area up. There you go, we're already starting to take the masking tape back there now, so I have to be careful with this. It's coming slowly. Of course, this is going to be tucked right up behind the headlight, so you may not see this anyway. But the thing is, even if you can't see it, I'll know it's there. And that means it will drive me crazy. There we go, I've got rid of most of that now. Just little lump there. I'm just going to go across the whole piece now with this 400. Just take it a little bit wider than what the masking tape did. This piece has just about had it. Just a little bit in the middle there, but I'm going to see if I can take that down with the 600. Okay, let's give that a wipe off. Yeah, you can still see the ridge a fair amount, so I'll give it a go with the 600, see how we get along, and we might be going back to 400 in a minute. But let's just go the same direction for now. The idea is you're supposed to alternate one direction or another when you switch grades so that you can see where you've sanded. So I think with this it's not really going to matter that much. I'll switch in a moment. Let's see if I can take this down a touch further without sanding too much of the surrounding area around. Yeah, still feel some ridges at the front here. Not too bad though, getting there. You can of course use a block around your wet and dry here. The danger is of course, whilst that does make it a lot faster, the danger is you can take a lot of the material away very, very quickly and end up with a flat spot. Whilst this probably takes a lot longer, I prefer to actually feel what's going on the body. I know, that sounds filthy, doesn't it? But I do. That's how it is. I like to feel what's going on the body. There we go, let's have another look. How's that looking and feeling? Pretty good in the middle there. Still see the ridge, but can't feel it so much. A little bit of the edge there still. Still a bit from there and a little bit at the front. Not much more, and I think we'll be good. Definitely feel it in that valley there between the body and the flared wheel arch. Definitely feel that in there, but that's probably because I didn't do a very good job with the 400. that's it for now on this video. Next time we'll be cutting more holes in the body for all the lights, the heater vents, and we'll be sorting all the gaps in the engine bay with plenty of P38 body filler. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time, thanks for watching.